Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast, Construction Tech-Tics. I'm your host, Tarika Jain, co-founder and business head at nCircle Tech. And I'm super excited to be here with you today for another fantastic podcast. In this series, we are shining a spotlight on the amazing women who are truly transforming the world of ConTech, construction tech. And today's guest is going to bring something really special to the table. So buckle up because this is going to be a great one. All right. Let's give a warm welcome to our guest today, Alice Graham. Alice is a chartered quantity surveyor and currently a solution engineer at a construction tech company based out of London, who has truly embraced the transformative power of construction technology. She has focused on advancing digital solutions for cost management, making a significant impact on how construction projects are delivered. Alice move from traditional quantity surveyor role into tech is truly transforming. She began her career at a global consulting, handling complex projects across various sectors. She even earned a master's in leading major programs, which gave her fresh perspective, fresh insight into using tech to boost efficiency and innovation. What makes Alice even more extraordinary is her commitment to opening doors to others. She is actively championing construction careers for Black women and is dedicated to showing young people that there are exciting, impactful opportunities in this industry. And she's got the accolades to back it up. Alice is a We Are the City Rising Star for 2023, and she was awarded Best Quantity Surveyor by Women in Construction and Engineering Awards in 2021. So it's clear Alice has a knack for embracing new technologies, which is what we are looking for. And I'm thrilled to have her on the podcast to share her journey and hear all about the cool things she's been leading in construction tech world. So Alice, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, I don't want to steal the spotlight, Alice. So let's start with your journey. Your journey is so amazing. Can you tell us a bit about your background? What sparked your move into the world of construction tech?
Yep. So my career is really split into three key chapters. So university, working in a consultancy, and then now working in the construction tech space. So how it all started is I went to university and I studied quantity surveying in Scotland. And that was probably where my journey started with my interest in construction tech. So we did a module that was called Innovation in Construction. And during that module, we were learning a lot about how construction technology is going to shape the future. It was very futuristic. We are thinking about, VR goggles that you would wear and see through the wall. And we are learning about big data and some of the other things like SaaS platforms as well. So at that time, that was in about 2018, there hadn't been as many advanced developments as what we have now, but certainly that was when people were still talking about some of the things that could happen in the future. So that really sparked it for me. And then when I finished university, I went into start a graduate scheme with a global consultancy. So during that graduate scheme, I was learning how to be a quantity surveyor, and I eventually got my chartership whilst there. And during that time, I was working on different sorts of projects, public sector, private sector projects. And once again, I was getting some insights into how companies are using technology to deliver projects. So one of the things that I was exposed to was an in-house built platform, probably resembling some of the SaaS solutions that are out there. And this solution was to try and move us away from spreadsheets and into one single platform where project managers and cost managers could work together to be able to have insights of projects like, change management, budgets, tracking, that sort of thing. So that was really exciting. And that tool was being built in-house. And then I also got exposure to different tools that quantity surveyors have to use in order to deliver projects. However, one of the things that I realized was a lot of the things we'd been taught in university were not necessarily happening yet. So there was also a bit of a frustration that all these cool things I'd learned about in university, we weren't really doing them in industry in real life. So I was like, how can we get more of that in the industry? So to fast forward to where I am now, in 2023, I got offered an opportunity to join a construction tech company. So this tech company is a global construction project management platform, allowing different teams to work together, including to do cost management. So the opportunity was really for me to join the team and become a solutions engineer who would help the team to be able to showcase what our product can do to help customers solve their cost management problems that they're facing today. So in a bit of a nutshell, that's how I went from university to being in a consultancy and then finally coming into the construction tech space.
Wow, that's quite exciting. And, like when you mentioned 2018 and we are, in 2025,
Yeah.
it's not, if you reflect back, it's not many, many years, but you have seen so many, changes in the industry, from back when you said, VR, AR was not that common, and now it has become very common, even, my 7-year-old kid is using, those headsets, so
Mm.
from your perspective and years of experience, consulting experience, how have you seen the construction industry changes, the trends, particularly in cost and commercial management, which is your area of expertise?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest changes has been the increased use of digital tools and ensuring that the digital skill set is part of your role as a cost manager. So I think initially, even before my time as coming into the quantity surveying role, you used to have, individuals that had a license that spanned across a whole number of users. So they would be a super user, and then they're the one who is responsible for the tech stuff. And now it's more that each individual has to have the capability to utilize digital skills. So those licenses are probably spread across more individuals. And then for your own personal development, you really have to work to stay up to date and keep up with what's happening in the landscape, what are the softwares that are being used, because if you don't keep up, you're not going to know what you need to be able to do for the next job, and if you're moving roles, for example. The other trend that I've seen is sustainability becoming more and more part of the role of a cost manager. So as people start to think not just about the capital cost, but also the operational costs, it's now more important for a quantity surveyor, people doing cost management, to have a holistic approach to the costing of works that they're doing and commercial management. And so that feeds back into the digital side of things, because there are some digital tools that are being developed specifically for cost tracking and sustainability, with that link to sustainability. And then also, I think as we've seen different issues come up, we've had COVID and a whole number of sort of world crises, we see that project delivery costs are increasing. And so one of the things I see with customers that we work with is that they're looking for ways to save costs so that they can continue to achieve healthy profits. Because as these cost of materials and labor increases, you have to find another way in your business to be able to achieve the margins that allow you to maintain and grow your business. So all of those things coming together, we see the profession, cost management in construction really changing. And then finally, it goes without saying, with the emergence of AI, although we're not sure about all of its applications, this is also significantly changing the landscape. And what will it mean for you to do cost management in 2050? It will be very different to what they were doing in 2000. So that is really changing the landscape as well. But like I say, the applications are not yet as obvious, but we know that it's going to be significantly disruptive to the profession. And that was another thing that inspired me to move into the construction tech space.
Yeah, yeah, I mean it's crazy how this industry is evolving, We
Mm.
recently, Alice, we recently delivered a tool, cost prediction tool, for the entire cycle, to understand if what different parameters have impacted the cost at the end.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned about AI, and definitely people are using AI in different ways. taking into account all the past experiences they had, and how can they really use those experiences to, do better and better. And especially post COVID, where, people just, taken aback, or and everything stopped suddenly, and you need to have your plan B, plan C, plan D in
Yeah.
place. People are now much more prepared to handle supply chains, handle project management, cost management, and everything.
Hmm.
But in your words, you have seen all this progress, and I have very limited sight of all these things. So tell us, the financial side of construction still, have their own challenges. So what, what do you think? What are those challenges that you face, and some insights into how you tackle those challenges.
Yeah. So, in terms of the challenges that people are facing when we speak to businesses of different sizes, one of the biggest things that comes up is data being in different systems. So, when you have a team, and essentially it boils down to having information in so many different spreadsheets. So, if you have a simple question, you want to know, how much have I gone over my budget? You don't have a single source to find that information. You have to go into so many different systems to get your final answer. And linked to that is the manual processes that occur. So instead of you having the automation between two systems, I mean, one of the things I learned about is integration. So when you have open APIs and two systems can talk to one another. Right now, a lot of businesses struggle because they might have system one, but it doesn't talk to system two. So the only way for them to be able to make that connection is have a manual extraction and put into another system process. So people are spending a lot of time doing that, which is not very conducive to what I said earlier, increasing labor costs, etc. They need to keep their margins. So manual processes don't help with that. And then another thing is standardization. So a lot of the times when I'm talking to people, they're running businesses. So in my previous role, I was just a quantity surveyor managing a number of projects, but eventually somebody is trying to oversee, let's say 30, 40, 50 projects in a business. And what starts to happen is if there is no standardization, they're not able to make comparisons between two projects because they've been set up in a different way. So a very simple example, if you had a project budget that was split in one way for a project in London, and then another project in Mumbai, for example, is being split a different way, you can't make the comparison to be able to spot trends and make decisions. So a lot of businesses need to standardize their processes, and the lack of that standardization creates operational challenges. And then the other thing that is quite a key issue is construction is obviously a site-based activity with all that is also connected to office-based activities. So connecting the different teams can be a challenge because the people on site need to be able to communicate with the people in the office. So for example, I'm a site manager, there's a change coming through. I need to communicate that with my quantity surveyor so that they know what's going on. And this is a challenge that different platforms have tried to solve for, to try and, either via mobile application or having SaaS solutions that are cloud-based so that two people can talk to one another and have updates that are quite what's the word for it, updating automatically, so you don't have to go from your phone and then update it on the computer. So connecting different teams has been a challenge for some people where they don't have those individuals sharing the same information at the same time. And then lastly, all of this stuff comes back to risk management, as in how are you able to manage the risk of your project, being able to deliver it on time, on budget, within the required scope. So when all of these problems gather together, it creates huge risk, and ultimately businesses are trying to minimize the risk so that they can be profitable and grow their businesses.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. Hearing from you feels like, oh my God, these are really big challenges,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure, you are working in a technology company. I'm sure, these days technology has helped in overcoming some of these challenges. Recently, we also, you mentioned about, data being available in different formats and at different places, and there's no one source of truth. One of our customers also had a very similar issue, and we struggled a lot, and finally we were able to create a data connector, in Power BI, bringing all the data back into Power BI, making it almost real time dashboard, so that someone should be able to understand the trends that you talked about. Brought some standardization in their different projects, bringing all that data back into Power BI with different charts and models, and added you know ChatGPT to interact with that. But
Yeah.
that's just one small part of technology and small part of challenges that we handle. But based on your work in implementing financial management processes in construction, which is your expertise, how do you see technology enhancing data transparency or efficiency in the projects?
Yeah, so the thing I mentioned earlier, having the data in one place is really helpful. So even just simply for the cost management discipline, it means that you can go into one place, you see the budget, you see any changes that have taken place, you see all of your contracts, you're tracking everything in one place, and that's really beneficial because you don't have to go to different systems. And then connected to that, technology has the power to create strong audit trails and record keeping. So a lot of what we know about construction project management generally is just being able to say who allowed you to do this and when and what can you be paid for in simple terms, when you want to avoid conflict and litigation, etc. So technology can really help with that aspect by providing very watertight records of this is what we did, this is when we did it, this is who approved this. Especially, I love one feature I always love is workflows for approvals. It's very simple but very powerful in that once you have an audit trail of how something was approved, you've mitigated a lot of back and forth emails saying, oh, we didn't let you do that. Why did you start this work? So it's very simple but very powerful and getting us out of endless trails of emails. And then the final thing is just coming back to that business level, being able to make real time decisions for leaders, business leaders, and business managers. They ultimately can see what's happening on the ground. Let's say, for example, see the potential changes that are coming up and make decisions that are proactive to mitigate the risk that's coming to their business. So let's say, for example, there was a high cost change, 200 grand. If they can see that very early on, they can make decisions to mitigate a 200K risk instead of finding out when it's too late. And now they've just got to take the cost and suck it up. So that's really powerful, being able to have data to make decisions that are good for their businesses.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you're very right. Keeping an audit trail. Can you say this keeping an audit trail? I mean, for general understanding, it's like blockchain. You have trail of everything, and you should be able to authenticate that information if asked for. And for that, you definitely need to keep the data at one place. So that's really insightful.
Yeah, and I think I'm not sure if we're quite at the level where blockchain technology, I don't know much about it yet, is
Mhm.
we're not there, but even a simple thing to be able to say, Tarika revised the budget yesterday, because
Hmm.
at the moment, if you were to use an Excel spreadsheet, if I go in and make changes, nobody's going to know that I made the changes. And it's
Hmm.
just very simple in that regard. And I think we will get there eventually, perhaps if we had payment systems that were backed by blockchain. But I
Yeah.
think baby steps for now, given where our industry is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible to see, how technology is streamlining the process. It's not just streamlining, but also creating a culture of transparency and accountability in the industry. Definitely baby steps, but last 5 years we have seen a lot of technology implementations to support transparency, accountability, real-time data availability. And that perfectly led me to my next question. How do you think technology and construction teams work together more effectively to ensure successful adoption of these new tools and innovations you're talking about?
Yeah, so adoption is definitely key. And one thing I always try to make sure people are aware of, it's not just you make the purchase, but that's the beginning of your journey when you're starting with the platform. So
Mhm.
it's about what happens after people sign on the dotted line. So a key thing that I've seen is that change management is a key aspect to getting effective adoption of new tools and technology. So what that means is when you have made that purchase, if it's a business making the purchase, how are they going to incorporate the platform and solution into their day-to-day activities? So usually what that would entail is they need to make sure that it becomes part of their daily processes and that they've communicated the change and they've walked through people in the business and they're going to get people that are supportive of the initiative. So that can also happen before they make the purchase, as in they need to prime their teams that they're thinking of changing the process, and then afterwards how that is going to fit into their business. And a key part of that for me is they need to have clear objectives. So there are good reasons to buy a software and there are bad reasons. So what I mean by that is you don't just buy something because it's the trendiest technology in town that year. You need to buy it because it clearly aligns to your business objectives. So if the business objective was that we need to get better communication between project managers and cost managers, you need to be evaluating that software from that lens so that you buy what's best for your business. And then the change management is much easier to get through, because ultimately whenever business leaders, if they buy a software that the end users might not see the benefit of, they're not going to adopt it or use it. But if they can see the clear benefit for their day to day, which is why when I'm doing my role, we typically talk to some of those end users to get that validation that it will be beneficial for them, then that's what makes it click and it will become just one of those things. Like for all of us, you've used things like the Microsoft Suite or Google Suite, it becomes part of your day to day because there's a clear value of why it makes your day better. And that's one of the things you need. And then outside of the change management piece, having champions and super users is something that is very important as well. So what businesses will typically do is they'll allocate individuals that are going to be the champion for the technology. They'll have very in-depth knowledge and then they'll share that knowledge with other colleagues. So as an aside, for career development, if you're someone who's interested in tech, becoming a super user or champion for something within your business is a really great way to start to get to know construction technology better. And then lastly, it's investing in professional services and implementation of whatever solution. So it's just kind of, once again, you're buying a software, but you still need supporting services to get to the place where you can implement. So that's what some businesses would do, whether they get it from the vendor of the software or they have like external consultants. But having implementation professional services really helps to really drive that adoption. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think these are really, really good insights, Alice. We are on the technology sides. We are the guys who do technology pieces, but we often see our customers, when the tool gets handed over to the team, they often struggle with the implementation of the tool. So even if the tool is fantastic, it does what it's required, it was thoroughly thought through, and it is needed in the system, sometimes it struggles to get implemented, at all the layers down
Mm.
to ground zero. So sometimes having champions and taking some professional services for the tool really helps, because there's no point in spending a tool if the teams are not going to use it.
Yeah.
So
Mhm. Yeah, and it takes it back to the objectives, because I think it's having outcomes, measurable outcomes to say, we bought this software a year ago.
Yeah.
These are the measurable outcomes of how it's improved our business. And if they can have that lens, then they'll make smarter purchases.
Yeah, yeah, true, true. So now, the most juicy part of our discussion, let's dive into, the topic of women in construction tech. And I'm sure your journey as a woman in this field has given you some unique insights and perspective. So, with women increasingly making mark in various industries globally, what are some of the communities or initiatives that support women entering into construction tech industry? Do you know some examples?
Yeah, so I'll start off with ones that are industry agnostic that I've participated in. So when I first came into the construction tech world, I just started attending different events that were being hosted, found them on LinkedIn. So one of them was She Bites Back, and it's an initiative that was founded by a lady called Amber Shand, and she essentially brings people together, runs different events, and you typically have people that are developers, sales side, all different parts of tech companies coming together, and they come from different industries. So that's been really great. And then another one that I did attend a few times was about women in product. So that was more on the product management side. And that was interesting as well, because I personally am working in the tech sales side of things, but I wanted to see a glimpse of some of my colleagues that I do work with who are product managers. And another one that I've heard of was rewriting the code, which is also an initiative specifically for encouraging women in tech. But specifically when it comes to women in construction tech, so this is how we've met together. There's Women in Construction Tech, the organization. I don't know how I found out about it. I think I must have seen something on LinkedIn or something, and got invited into the WhatsApp group by yourself, Tarika. So that's been great to see what different women are doing in this space, because certainly it's a growing space, it's an emerging space. So I'm excited for what's going to happen in the future, especially as some people make similar transitions to myself of moving from construction into tech. So it's an exciting space.
Yeah, yeah, thanks. Wonderful. Thanks for sharing. Sometimes I feel these communities provide you a safe space, encouraging space to learn new things, to share your experiences, and to, make next leap in your career. So I strongly encourage, our listeners who are listening this conversation, it's really good to be part of such communities and network that really gives us a power to strengthen our knowledge, to make a next move, to build a strong network. So whosoever is listening, please join such communities and be active in such communities. In the UK, construction industry is gradually becoming more inclusive, with more women now, with women presenting 15% of the workforce. 37% of the new entrants in the industry are women, which is more than one third, which is very encouraging, indicating a positive trend in gender diversity. Despite this, leadership roles are still, are underrepresented, with women holding only 16% of senior positions. And encouragingly, 13% of construction firms in the UK are now owned by women, showcasing growing entrepreneurial contributions by women in the sector. All this data, it doesn't make sense, but, uh, Alice, what's your advice or professional development tips would you share with someone who's looking to grow and make their mark in the construction tech field? Any insights, any go-to strategies that can have a difference for you and that can help others to grow in their career?
Yeah, so I think there's a number of routes that people can take if they have a deep interest in construction tech. So the first route seems it's quite obvious. When you stay in construction, so you're still a construction professional, you have the option to be that tech champion within your business, whether that's informally in your role as somebody who just takes an interest in technology, or in a more formal capacity. There is possibility to become the person who, for example, is the business change lead, the technology lead in your business. So that's the person who would be implementing the digital transformation strategies within your company. So I think that's a really great avenue if you're somebody who wants to stay within the industry, and that would require you to have a blend of knowing the day-to-day work of, say, a project manager, engineer, whatever it is, and then using those skills and knowledge to have that business lens of what technology platforms does your business need to be able to run well. And if you perhaps don't want to take such a high approach, there is also another approach whereby you learn deeply certain technologies and become the subject matter expert. So if there, I won't name drop any specific platforms, but just know a platform, get to know it, and then you can be a specific expert in that. And I have seen sometimes there are job roles where they're looking for, let's say, a project manager who has experience of X system. So that's one way that you can put yourself ahead in terms of your personal development with jobs. The next option is probably something like what I did, which is you could switch into the construction tech space, and you could have a role that is in construction tech, whether that's a solutions engineer, customer success, implementation, whichever role that would be. And what that means is you're actually in a unique position, an advantageous position, because you know construction and then you know technology, and blending those two skills together, it can really allow you to be a strong voice in the room when you're speaking to businesses that are having problems that perhaps you used to have. So that's a really strong route. And with that, I would also encourage you to get to know the whole ecosystem, because you need to understand how technology is developed and how software works, you know, how that is you don't have to know how to code, but just understanding the process, because if you understand the whole ecosystem, it will allow you to know your place and how to make the biggest impact, for example. And then lastly, I wanted to touch on something you mentioned earlier about women-owned businesses and entrepreneurial contributions in the space. So I do firmly believe that there's an amazing, incredible opportunity for people that have come from construction backgrounds to start their own businesses and actually come up with products. And the reason why that is great for people with that construction background is you know the industry the best, because you've worked in it, you've lived it, you've breathed it, and now you're in a position where you can come up with the solutions of, you know, I think that we need to change this process, and I can come together with people to come up with the solution. And one of my inspirations for this is there's a lady called Tracy Young, and she was a founder of PlanGrid. So her background was she started off as an engineer, and then eventually she started a tech company, which was a construction tech platform, which she eventually exited and sold. And that just speaks to the power of the entrepreneurial spirit that we can bring to the industry, that people might have the capability to come up with solutions that can be used by the whole industry, because we know the industry the best. So I'll just put that out there, that for those people that are aspiring founders, that's probably a fantastic route to go down. And there's some examples out there of people that have done it.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I mean, those are really, really practical, handy advice, and tips that you have shared, Alice. You know, taking the first step, first initiative to become a, subject matter expert, or taking this first step to, really be the adopter of a new technology, that first step definitely can lead into so many different opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
plethora of opportunities that will open the doors for you, and you can, either become the subject matter expert, or you can become, champion in the company, who digital champion in the company, or you never know, you become so much expert that you can think of a new product idea, which you think can really help the industry, and you start your own entrepreneurial journey. So taking the first step, that first step of getting into digital environment, understanding the digital products and
Mm-hmm.
implementation of those products, and like you said, the ecosystem, how these products are developed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So thank you for advice, and thank all what your insights, your journey, everything. It's so absolutely so amazing to hear, Alice. Your career pivot. It's so inspiring for many women who are listening this conversation. For me, it was really a inspiring conversation hearing about your journey from quantity surveyor to leading into the construction tech. Your experiences and passion for digital transformation really show how tech can reshape this industry for the better. It's exciting to think how women are entering into construction tech. Back in days there were hardly women in this industry, and now we see one third of the new entrants are women in construction tech. Tech is a very good space to be in. So I would request our listeners to really really think how can they make progress in this sector, how can they make themselves updated and join this tech wave.
Yeah, no, yeah, there's loads of career switchers and there's so much opportunity ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, true, true. And even my through my company also, nCircle Tech, it's been 12 years we are serving the construction tech industry. We have ourselves have seen so many trends, changes in the industry. It is now picking up space. Last 5 years have been fantastic for construction tech industry. People are talking about new tech, workflow automations, pushing the limits of what's possible in this industry. So this is an amazing industry, especially for women, a safe space to be in. For my listeners, if Alice's story makes you feel motivated, why not join our Women in Construction Tech community? We have so many inspiring women. Alice has met so many. There are entrepreneurs, there are women who have pivoted their career, they're sustainability experts. Alice has already, seen this community and attended some meetups. It's a great place to connect, learn from each other, seek support, and be part of something exciting. At the end of this video, you can scan the code and get involved. So thanks for tuning in today. We have got more amazing stories lined up in our upcoming episodes, so stay tuned. Until then, keep exploring, keep creating, and let's continue to build something incredible together. Thank you. See you soon. Thank you, Alice.
Thank you.